I listen to the OBG.
Okay, I'm going to cut short with the intro. I'm just going to go straight in today. And the reason for that is I've had a couple of hiccups this morning and I thought I'd just come out and do them. Now, today, I thought I'd do this morning because last night I was talking to someone I consider a friend already. I've only known her a short time through some friend of mine, Carol Rowe. And every now and then you come across someone in life and you think to yourself, well, I do at least. I think this person's a shining star. This person's talent, you know. And just seeing what this person's doing in life, I'm like, oh, you know, she's a grafter. I love grafters because I'm a grafter myself. And she told me that she's looking into studying law, you know, common law and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, right, rather than talk to her directly, I'll share it with other people because this is what I know of it and part of the journey. And I mix up with some of the ways that I see and view life, our freedom, and how to, you know, go about that law. But once again, do it your own way. But trust me, these are some stepping stones I think that you should kind of take notice of. But, you know, that being said, do it your own way. So morning, Tom. Hello, Martin. Thanks for coming back, guys. And I'm going to start off by saying this. Get to know who you are. That's one of the most important things, like getting to know who you are, because that's a lifetime's journey. You know, people say they know who they are, and I've seen people that call themselves guru or whatever, so-and-so, and it's like, yeah, because I know who I am, I can, you know, give this information. I'm like, how could you know? I think you know on your last breath, to be honest. I'm not saying about who's right and wrong here, but as long as you're living and learning, how can you truly know who you are? Anyway, you have to know that at least you're learning, and you have to know that you're free. You have to know that you're free. I'm not talking just talk. I'm not talking about those feel-good posters on Facebook. You know, it is wiser to know, it's better to have loved than lost and all that. You have to know. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't, then it's pointless. I see a lot of people posting stuff, and it's cool. Yeah, you know, you like to let people know what you know and what you believe in, but do you believe in it? And I know most of you don't. Behind the veil of knowing it and being clued up, you're unhappy and you're sad, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's life. Sometimes I really do believe that our lives are the pursuit of happiness, but I don't hold on to it. So therefore, how can you truly believe in all of those things you say when you don't live your life that way? You're sad, you're angry at people too often. I've seen your posts. You know, you talk about other people, you put other people down. You cannot be content in yourself if you're always putting other people down. It doesn't work that way. Everyone else is us. And when we project, it's called projection. We're just projecting our feelings. So you have to believe in it. You have to believe in yourself. That's the most important thing. You can only do that with love. Love yourself and you can love everyone else. And once you do that, you can actually live in confinement and you can be free. I've expressed this before. You could be in a prison cell, and as long as you've got a free mind and you believe in yourself, you're still free. They may have contained you. That's them doing what they want. They're not happy putting you somewhere where you can't express yourself and truly express yourself. But in your mind, you're free, and you can still do the things that you can with what you have. Now, taking it out of being imprisoned, look at the size of the world. Look at the size of the planet. How can you not be free? Oh, I need a passport. Oh, they don't let me do this here and there. That's the way it works. You have to live with those restrictions. And you can argue, well, how can you be free with restrictions? You can be free within yourself. Those restrictions are there. Those rules are there, but you can still be free. You have to believe it. And if you have a victim mentality or feelings of oppression, then they're your own. They're only yours. I can tell you I don't like you. I can tell you you're stupid. I can tell you that you're too fat or you're too thin. And what could it matter if you believe that you're not? What effect could it have? Whatever anyone else tells you, whatever you see and you want to be and you want part of, that's just greed. If you live with what you need, then you're going to be content. It's that simple. And this is why understanding this is really important to knowing about the law. So first of all, you have to stop learning the rules. You don't need to know them. It's a worthy but unnecessary pursuit. It's good, a quest for knowledge. You can go out there, you can keep on looking and trying to understand it, but there's tens of thousands of statutes that, given the colour of law, which aren't law, you end up trying to learn about them and learn everything. And these are the little bits of advice I'm hoping that you can take on board, everybody. You can go and study them all, and you realise you're just not going to need them in the end. It doesn't matter. So let me first explain why. There's two types of jurisdiction that we live under. There's maritime jurisdiction, also known as maritime law, admiralty law, and it's a body of laws and conventions and treaties that govern private maritime business and other nautical matters such as shipping or offences occurring on open water. International rules governing the use of the oceans and seas, which are known as the law of the sea. And it's important to remember the law of the sea and vessels on the sea. And generally, modern admiralty laws, courts, they hear civil actions, not criminal cases. And admiralty courts have the power to issue a maritime lien against a ship, allowing the court or its appointees to seize the ship to settle claims against it. And we are those ships. We are the vessels. We're berthed, B-E-R-T-H-E-D. And then the paperwork's created. And we're deemed dead, lost at sea after 7 years if we don't come forward and claim that we're still living human beings. And now they passed that during the Great Fire of London in 1666, actually, UK-wide. I'm not going to go into details of that right now. That's stuff for you to go out and find out, okay? If you want me to cover it, send a donation to the OBG show here. And all that stuff I can cover. I'll do it by request. If you send a £25 request, I'll cover a topic of your choice. If you just want to keep me going and flowing and doing these shows, just send a donation of any size. £1 for a show if you like it, or more, so I can get a coffee. And I'll cover those things. Now, common law jurisdiction or common law is a body of unwritten laws, and they're based on legal precedents established by the courts. Now, common law influence the decision-making process in usual cases or unusual cases where the outcome can't be determined based on existing statutes of written rules of law. And this is when a precedent known as stare decisis is which is a history of judicial decisions are used, and they form the basis of evaluation for future cases. Now, common law, also known as case law, relies on detailed records of similar statutes and cases before, because there's no official legal code that can apply to the case in hand. And the beauty of that is a case can be new. You can put something forward and say, well, and it's very hard to find something that hasn't been done before, but it still happens and they're possible. But when you look at the maritime laws, they don't believe in justice. Their aim is simply to fine us because you kind of acquiesce to being in a contract with them. And they want to fine us and just simply take money from us. Somebody has to pay. It's as simple as that. And then the courts and the judges get paid. They're not even judges anyway. And when you look at the people who protect them, the police, how they interact with people, you can see that they're doing the work for these private corporations. And because we've joined and a bond with these people, then they have our consent often to act on us. But if we don't give them our consent, if we don't agree with them, if we don't contract with them, then we do not have to abide by their rules. It's as simple as that. And if you look at how the police interact with working class people compared to middle class and upper class people, then you're going to see a massive difference. Even if you just look on television, they treat working class people like animals. Crime programs on television show them entering the homes of working class people, smashing their way in with their dogs and their helicopters up in the air just to find an eighth of gear. They don't do that to middle class people, or they don't do that to the upper class people when they do target criminals. And even when they target big criminals, you think, oh, well, he was wrong. And anyway, you know, Pablo Escobar, this is on an international level. Let's say, what's that guy's name from Liverpool? Massive drug deals he was doing, and he won't grass, he won't talk to the police, and they keep him in prison for a long time. I forget his name, but he's from Liverpool. Fantastic story, regardless, you know, the fact it's a crime. It's just a really interesting story. Curtis, his name's Curtis, his first name. Type it in anyway. Curtis, drug kingpin, maybe might bring it up, but I'd recommend it to anyone. But they target the working class. When you see people doing crimes like Howard Marks, and I love the guy, he's good, well done, he fought the system. He's not a working class lad. So like he gets done for, you know, like, or at least, you know, like roped into massive drug deals, and he's writing books and making money. But the working class, they go and serve time. And this is because often we don't know our rights. The people above don't, but at least they can afford lawyers and solicitors. So the police don't tangle, you know, with them much. Anyway, you don't need to read the law. It's hard for you to break the law. It's really, really hard to break the law. The written word distracts us, and we already know what's right and wrong. That's just inherent. That's built into us. It's hard to break the common law unless you premeditate your actions. It's their law, maritime law. It's not ours. Like, if you commit harm or damage to another person, murder, even if you threaten somebody, you're causing damage to someone. That's common law. If you try and break someone's property or even your own, you know what I mean? You should be free to break your own, really. Common law covers that. But if you try and break anyone's property or, something that's not yours, then you're committing a crime. If you tried to sell your car and you told someone it's in perfect working order and it isn't, and then you've done fraud in business and you're breaking the law. And just those three things alone, fraud in business, damage to property, and harm or damage to another person, covers every eventuality. All the rest of them are statutes. Oh, you can't drink beer in the street over here. It's a £50 fine. What law could you have possibly broken there? Is there a victim? Where's the harm or damage caused to a person? Where's damage to property and where's the fraud in business? It's not. It's the corporation's rules. It's like working for a company and they say, right, you can't smoke in here. You can't argue, well, I have the right to smoke. It's like, listen, matey, we bought this building with money made from our blood, sweat and tears. It's a private, it's a private building. It's a closed system here. If you come into this building, you can't smoke. And you can't smoke. It's that. It's done. But not in public. Now, society functions well without interference from them. We'd make our own rules. Everyone wants to live in peace. But we'll call them when we need them. Now, I hear too many people say, no, you don't like the police, but you call them when you need them, because that's their job. That's what the police are there for. They've signed up to do that. They've signed up to say, listen, we're going to form a body of people and we're going to protect you, and we're going to come in when there's problems, like criminal acts and so on, they're non-civil matters. And we're going to ask for you to give us certain powers in order to do that. And we kind of went, okay. Or we didn't really. They just, done it all in the parliament and so on. And that system kind of worked, but it's got corrupt to the core. So now no one likes them. And as Matt Sands said, a friend of mine who I used to interview, no one dislikes the fire brigade. No one dislikes emergency services, the hospitals. No one dislikes, what's the other emergency service? Police, fire brigade, ambulance, yeah. And no one dislikes the AA. Let's call them the fourth emergency service. But they dislike the police because they're corrupt and they're criminals. Now, you don't have to like them, but it's their job. Even if you don't like them, you can call them. And it's your right to do it. Now, getting back to the law. You have the right to remain silent. That's one of the most powerful things that you're going to hear. Silence. Because I'll do it chronologically, not chronologically, but I'll do it in some sort of order. Don't talk to them. Start off by saying, I do not answer questions, and then don't talk. People feel embarrassed to do it. If you are going to talk, just repeat that alone. I do not answer questions, and that's it. And don't talk. How can you charge? How can you try and elicit a response out of somebody or a charge if they're not talking? Do not answer questions. They will try to get you to convict yourself, which is what 95% of people do. 99% of people do. You have the right to remain silent. Be silent. It feels embarrassing if you're not used to it. If a policeman walks up and goes, excuse me, go mute. Just don't talk to them. They have no interest in you. It's his job. What's he coming up to you for? I like your shirt, mate. Lovely. He's had a call on the radio. That guy over there looks like blah, blah, blah. And he's going to come over. Hey, how you doing there, mate? And he's going to try and see if you're a criminal. And that's his only interest or her only interest. Now, if you do talk, and I'd advise against it, only ask questions. Ask if you're being detained. Ask if they're making a threat. If someone says, well, if you don't talk to us, we take you down the station. You say, are you threatening me? Because if someone says they're going to take you to the station or do anything if you don't comply with them, they're threatening you. They're making a threat. And those are the only things you have to say. Now, that's going to be part of their evidence. They'll only ever say, well, you wouldn't talk, or you did say, like, are you making a threat or whatever. And it's like, you can say, well, the only reason why I asked if he was making a threat is because he said that he would take away my liberty and my freedom if I don't comply. And that's a threat. And they can't do that. So make sure you do not talk. And the most important thing after that is do not resist. And I don't mean just to police. I mean in general in life. Don't resist against things. Be who you are. If you don't like something, go and try and change it. But, I hate this, I hate that, I hate that. What are you doing? For every energy, every unit of energy that you use to resist something, it pushes back at you. It may not seem that way. Try pushing against a wall, something that's solid, that is immovable. It pushes back at you at an equal force. It doesn't go anywhere. If it's weaker than you, it will topple over, but often they don't. And you can't typically, people see that force unless it's, if it's not visible, like a wall. But as hard as you push against the system, it's going to push back against you. And even harder if it is a physical force of the police. So you have to stay calm. You have to learn not to resist. Don't resist anything. Now, when I say about resist in regards to the police, what I mean by that is someone comes up to you, you've got two choices. You can resist arrest, which you have the right to on an unlawful arrest, which they often are, or you can go with them and then you can deal with it afterwards by using the paperwork and so on, which means fighting them in their system. Or if you do learn about law, then you can take it above what they want to do. Here, I fill this form in, and do everything on their terms, and you do it on lawful terms, not the legal terms. Now, the term resisting arrest, to go back to that refers to the act of physically struggling against, attempting to elude a police officer in order to escape being restrained. And according to the law, a person cannot use physical force to resist being lawfully arrested by police. And this act of resisting arrest is a crime that may be charged above and beyond any other crime, or the other crimes that you actually have done at the time for what you are being charged. And the purpose of the law against resisting arrest really is to protect law enforcement officers in the discharge of their duty. And no one can disagree with that, really. If someone's really doing something wrong, they're committing a crime, then you agree, I think, that the people that you may have given consent to can go and take that person and arrest them, to stop them from what they're doing. And if they have broken the law and it's obvious, like they've just struck someone, then they'll take them, arrest them, and then hopefully then a charge can be brought against that person. But if it's unlawful, then those arrests can't be made. And we have the right to use as much force as is necessary to resist against arrest. An arrest that is unlawful is arrest that's made without probable cause, without a warrant. Wrongful arrests or false arrests also includes an arrest of the wrong person, arrest of someone without, as I said, probable cause or just cause, arrest without a warrant or legal justification, an arrest based on race, or an arrest made for personal gain. And often they're for personal gain. It's about shattering another man's ego. So he wants to tie you down. He wants to take you away. Don't you talk to me like that. So I talk to you how the fuck I like. Who are you? What do you want? I don't want to contract with you. You have no business here. What law have I broken? Have you seen me break the law? No, go away. Leave me alone. And that's it. Now, he knows you've known your rights. And what I mean about resisting, don't even talk to them like that. Be polite and just say, I'm not contracting with you. I don't want to do business with you today. I have not broken the law. I'm not being detained. You're not arresting me, which means we have nothing else to communicate about. We have nothing. You have no right and no business. In the UK, they have a law. The policeman can follow you for miles and miles. I forget the distance, like 20 miles, all the way to your home, as well. And they can do that, which is a pain in the ass. But you just do keep walking in circles and do stuff, put them off. But you don't have to talk to them. And this isn't about hating the police, by the way. This is about you exerting your rights. So the two choices were take and accept the arrest and then fight it afterwards. As I said, don't push against it, don't resist, or exert your rights, whatever they are, and learn your rights. And you have many, many rights, way beyond what you imagine or what you know, because of our miseducation. And you instinctively know what they are, but we feel unsure about them because we're inundated with information that shows otherwise. And they keep showing television programs where the police always win and, the crooks are really, really bad people. They never do a show, it's got to be a very special film or so with a, corrupt policeman. And even then, they always get their comeuppance, but they don't show you a film with just pure corruption or how that system works. There's one or two good films like that I recommend. I've posted them up on Facebook before. One of them's Copland with Sylvester Stallone, by the way. I recommend that to everybody, and you will thank me. Watch that film, Copland, with Sylvester Stallone. Anyway, getting back, self-control. That's the important thing. We need to learn to control ourselves, because if you don't, then you're going to resist, and your anger's always going to come back at you. They're the biggest and the toughest gang in the UK, and London especially. So you have to learn to control your emotions, and that's what's really important. Whatever force you expel will return. I know that from experience. If you just fancy a ruck and you think, okay, these boys are gonna, they'll have a ruck, they'll fight you there and then, and arrest you and just chuck you in a cell and then do the paperwork. That's fine. But if they're fucking pussy boys, they'll beat you, fight you there and then. You may have got the better of them, then it takes 3 or 4 of them, and then they'll get you. Then they'll put you in a cell, and then they'll come in groups of 3, and they'll keep on smashing you until you limp or kill you. And people don't understand that this goes on. And I posted something on Facebook recently, and this isn't against a guy who challenged it. Fair enough, everyone challenges what they want, whatever we post on our walls. But I'm fed up of hearing people say things like, well, I never had a run-in with the police, and so like they're not all bad. It's like, listen, if a man rapes a woman, and you say, well, he didn't rape me, so he's not a rapist. Or, men rape women, but it's not that, well, I've never been raped. It can't be that bad, or it can't happen that often. Then you're a cunt. I'll say that again. You're a cunt. And that's what happens when people like me talk about the police and our experiences, and 6-foot-tall blonde white guys say things like, well, I've never had any problems with them. They can't all be that bad. You're a cunt. That's all it is. You're blind, you're stupid, you're ignorant, you've had your run of the world in your type for so long that your image, I'll say, that you can't even see your blinker, totally and utterly blinkered. I won't say the word again, freezing enough for one show. But you have to learn to not use force, to not get angry at them. I see people, they read a couple of bits about their rights and then they get all tough and they start screaming at the police. Am I being detained? Am I being detained? Yeah, under Magna Carta, rule number 65 and 4. Shut up. Peaceful protests and silent protests is the way. You can fight if you want. I just explained that, but be peaceful. Be peaceful. No one can get into your inner peace. Nobody, when you know about it, when you learn how to do it. All the police ever do is look for a reaction, and then they've got an excuse to react to. They do it all the time. They sent in little special forces, little squads into Trafalgar Square recently to start trouble. They just went in there, just started hitting people, and then people start fighting back, and then they've got a reason to send more in, and then they'll say that it was unrest. And who can argue with that? If especially for the close-minded people, well, the people were fighting, so the police had the right to take out metal rods and beat those people. We're not animals. If the police are allowed to carry weapons, and I say this to everybody all the time, then we're allowed to carry weapons. They don't have any special privileges above us. They have every benefit that we grant to them, and we say, okay, then you can carry arms if you want to, but that's because it's not against the law to carry a stick. There's no law in England that says you're not allowed to carry a metal stick, and the police are not above the law. And I want you to get it into your head. Say it again and again and again. The police are not above the law. That's why they can carry weapons. If they can carry weapons, you can. It's that simple. And people may, but how wouldn't it? And then you'll argue all day long why you can't, because you've been seeing so many examples of it. But if anyone can carry a weapon, then you can carry a weapon. No one's above the law. Okay. So what I'm saying about that, again, is peaceful protests. Be peaceful. That's all. And when I say protest, I'm not talking about going out and manifestation, as you say, or manifestation. What I mean is just to peaceful. If a policeman comes up to you and wants to talk to you, ask him what he wants. This is why you learn the law. So you can learn those key words and things. You can just let them know that you're here today to peace. You don't want a contract with them. So, we don't have any more business there. Thank you. And then walk away. And that's it. And the more you learn to do that, the more you learn to be calm, the more you rise above them and who they are, then you transcend. And the more you transcend, the less that they have to deal with, or the less that they want to deal with us. And the more of us that are like that, the least interaction we're going to have with them, because they know that people react, and they know that people get heated, and they know they're going to get a reaction. I mess them up all the time just by being polite. I put on different roles. I act on different voices, and some may say, oh, that's a bit cowardly. It's like, yeah, I've had enough fights with them. I don't want to get smashed with a truncheon or just pushed to the floor and someone kneeling on your chest so you can't breathe. Why? Because you didn't tell him what your name was. You didn't tell him the words that your mother created and assigned to you. You didn't want to share that with another human being. So therefore, he's going to throw you on the floor and stick his knee in your chest. And it's like, this is what happens. And I'm not saying give in. All I mean is work it out. I'm walking down Kensington High Street. I see a black man in a hoodie. They're like, he must be doing crime. Sorry, excuse me, sir. And they're polite, because they also know sometimes if they start off polite, then you're off guard. And then, they're quite clever about their questioning. Change your voice. Excuse me, officer, can I help you? And they're like, oh, a posh one. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever. And they just think, oh, sorry about that, sir. I thought you were someone else. And they make some bollocks up. And all they wanted was you to say, like, wagwan. And they're like, oh yeah, one of those. And then, you know, they'll jump on you. That's a fact, okay? So it's about changing the tone, or, you know, wherever you are, they come up to you 3 o'clock in the morning. Oi, where are you off to? Holiday here? No, I no speak English. Now go on your way, fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? And they're just looking for trouble. Now, if you are going to be you and come out with, yeah, what's happening? And then they're right, okay, you see them brace up, look at each other, and then they do their little role play. They've done it thousands of times, the two of them as a team, like lovers, to the individual who doesn't know. What do you want? What do you want me for? You blah, 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 and start screaming and shouting at them, and they're getting worked up now. They love it. Little hard-ons they've got, little semis, all rising, like, oh, we've got one there. This is going to kick off any minute now. 2 strong men who have learned some kind of form of fighting, work as a team, armed to the teeth with weapons, and are ready to take you on. Transcend that. Do not give them the chance. Do not rise to the bait. Be peaceful. Calm. Yes, officers? They call you a name. That's not my name. Tell them. You know? Or just ignore it. In the end, when they say they can't get a rise out of you, they let you go. Now, people think police like that still don't exist, but they do. You're just not seeing them. We're older now. We're not out as much. You've got the younger people out on the streets, out and about and so on. And now the police are a corporation, always have been, well, for the longest time. And they're taking their orders from their paymasters, and they're out there just trying to make the arrests up so they can keep their jobs, because they've had a massive reduction in the police services when they got all this CCTV it's in. So they lost jobs just like everyone else and that. So as long as they can keep on arresting people, then they can keep the numbers. So they have a role and they play it to the court. And the police and the courts actually, they sort out civil and criminal disputes, you know, where you may have them with another individual. So if you have a dispute, you know, then you can use them. But if they come to you for any government or police business, ignore them. Know yourself and know your friends. And that's all you need, because when you know yourself and you know your friends, then you're going to have a peaceful life. I see people saying, oh, I didn't like this person stabbed me in the back. It's like, you knew that person wasn't your friend. You just kept them on board anyway. You like the numbers. You won't admit to yourself that you've only got 4 friends. You want everyone to think you've got 20 or 30 or 40. They're not your friends. The person that you fall out with and make up with every time, the person that you've had around for 10 years, 5 years, even a new friend, you may like have a few conflicts, but you're sorting it out early, and you know, you stay friends forever. But not everybody is your friend. And the police and the system especially. So go out, look at what common law is, the Magna Carta. Don't be reading all those stories about the Magna Carta and like how powerful. The Magna Carta, there's only four items in it now. Learn what those 4 are. I won't tell you them now. Go out, find the Magna Carta, see what 4 are still valid, and you can use them. But all the other stuff like putting signs on shops, like, I'm protected under Article 61 of the Magna Carta, no, they don't mean nothing. They don't mean anything. You have to fight those things on your right, on your understanding of who you are as a human being and your rights. And that goes way beyond all of the written rules. Because I see people saying, well, no, I've got a private business there. This is one that was popular on the internet recently. It was like, cool, well done. He challenged the police. They were peaceful. They just gave up because they couldn't be bothered in it. And they didn't give up. They just thought, I would get him another day. Because it's like, listen, mate, if you want to run a private business, you can't, because you had to file your business under Companies House. That's all taken care of by the Crown in London. You're registered under them to follow their rules. So you just claiming and screaming at private business and whatever, and he didn't. He was very calm. One of the calmest people I've seen, by the way. Sorry to cast any dispersions. If you've seen the video on the guy, he wasn't screaming and shouting at him. He was the calmest person I've ever seen. You know, I didn't see him because he was behind the camera, but I'm sure he was sat there like that. Yes, officer. Well, actually, you're not allowed to. You know, and he handled business, and they left in the end. But you learn those statutes. Read about what statutes are and how they create them, and the fact that they're given the colour of law, but they're not laws. And learn about the fact that if you don't want representation by Parliament, don't vote. People are going to want to, see who gets in. It doesn't matter. The government get in every time, and you voting, all you're doing is saying, right, I want representation in Parliament. That's all you're saying. Not, I want change in the country. You're saying, I want representation. And then what happens is saying, right, you want representation. Cool. So you consent to everything. We can beat you. You can't protest. You can protest where we tell you. You do as you say. You're my bitch. That's what voting's for. That's all it's for. I want representation, and I want to consent to everything that comes out of Parliament. You don't need it. Now, I said I'm not going to be doing law and all that stuff again, but it's bothering me recently because a lot of people are kind of going out there and they want to protest, but they're afraid of getting arrested and so on. Even if you're at a protest and you get arrested, don't talk to them. Silence is your friend. If they're going to take you, let them take you. Go to the police cell. Don't say a word. They have to let you go after 24 hours anyway, and it's a long time, but it's something you can talk about afterwards. At that time, you've done 24 hours bird, which isn't cool. It's a loss of liberty, but don't say a word. They won't even charge you if you don't talk. They can't charge you. All they've got is a body. They can try and make some charge up. They don't know who they're going to make the charge up to, or for. If they try to take your fingerprints, let them, because they can't charge you anyway. And if they don't charge you, they have to remove the fingerprints, all of that stuff. But once again, as I said, I'm not getting into all this. I've kind of left it behind. But if you want me to cover it, if you really, really do, you know what to do. Send a donation to the show with a comment and send me a message afterwards and say, like, listen, I love what you're doing about the common law. Can you cover this area? Here's a donation. And I'll do it. I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you alone. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to leave that there. So remember, after all of that, regardless, because there's no hate for me for the police, I just talk about what they do, and those what I think I'm stating, what I consider facts, only because many other people agree with me, but they're not facts because some other people disagree. Love is the answer. Love is the only way we can do it. Love is the way forward. Love is how we move forwards. Love is how we transcend. But you have to remember, the most important person to love is you. If you learn to love yourself, then you will love everyone else. And the absence of love is where there's always going to be problems. And remember, I'll say it again, love yourself and you will love everyone else. And on that note, you are amazing. And I am the OBG.
OBG.